Hello again, Wired fam. How's everybody doing? Long time no see. We're back on the lives. It looks like. Hope everybody's doing well. We have got we got a lot to talk about tonight because we hadn't been on a live in I don't know what, 3 weeks, 4 weeks, something like that. It's been a minute. It has been a minute. We have been first of all, I had the flu last week I had the flu, week before last. I guess it was week before last. I don't know. Maybe it was last week. Can't remember really. But I had the flu. And then my entire family got the flu the next week. So it's been a little bit of sickness running around. It has been hectic over the last little bit. But we're back, and we're back ready to talk some crappie fishing. It is colder than crap. It has dropped off winter, and it has done nothing but rain in East Tennessee. I don't know where you guys are at right now, where you're tuning in from, but I'll tell you right now, in East Tennessee, it is wet. It is just rained and rained and rained and rained and rained and rained. Did I mention it has rained and rained and rained and rained? Because it has. Okay. So, um, been doing a lot of watching it rain, a lot of setting in the shop, a lot of cleaning in the shop because the shop has been an absolute mess. Um, but it did have a tournament last weekend. We were able to get an East Tennessee Crappie Club tournament in on Douglas. We'll talk about that tonight. And we will talk about some winter crappie fishing tonight. Then we'll answer some questions. I know you guys probably have some because it's been a little minute since we've been on here. So we will answer some questions tonight and try to answer a few of your questions if you have any. But it's going to be a good night. So as always, guys, when you get on, and we're also going to talk a little bit about the episodes that have been coming out, the how to become a better crappie angler episodes that have been coming out. We're on episode 7, episode 8. Excuse me. It's coming out this week. So we've got probably 2, 3, maybe 4 left that I can think of that I'm going to do. But I'm hoping you guys are learning from those. I'm hoping that everybody has picked up a few things from those. And if you hadn't watched those, go watch them because you're going to learn something. I mean, that's what they're there for. They're not. Now, you're going to learn something every video? No. Because there's going to be some videos where you go, man, I already knew that. What are you talking about? And it's going to be like, okay, cool. But somebody else didn't. So bear with us. All right. They are from the beginner all the way up. So, make sure that you understand not everybody's on the same level. So we got to teach the new stuff, the old stuff, and everything in between stuff. You know what I'm saying? So, we gotta elevate people from the level that they're at currently. That's what we're here for. So you guys may say, hey, how do you use a spinning rod? Well, that's okay. Or a spinning reel. Well, that's fine. Some guys don't know how to use a spinning reel. I had a guide trip the other day where the guy said, "Look, I can't." He brought a rod with him, and it had a push button Zebco on it. And he's like, "I can't use a spinning reel. I've never done it. I don't know how." So you got to keep in mind, guys. Everybody's at a different point in their fishing ability or their fishing career, their fishing walk, if you will. So we're trying to elevate. We're trying to elevate anglers, make everybody better. That's what we're here for. Okay. So we got to start at the beginning, work our way through. All right. Let's see. I know the phone, I'm on my phone tonight, so it is a little shaky, I'm sure, but bear with me. I'm trying to hold it as still as I can. Tom A from Pennsylvania. Guys, make sure when you get on, drop me a hello. Let me know where you're from. I always like to say hello to you guys. I always like to be able to, get a little personal. Say hello to you guys and see where we're reaching out to. Okay. So when you get on, drop me a hello. Let me know where you're from. And I will do my best to say hello back. Let's see. Oh. It is late. I'm ready for bed. Yawn. Everybody, I've got 50 people watching. I just caused 50 people to yawn. So that's always cool. All right. Tom A from Pennsylvania. Glad to have the lives back. Hello, Wired fam. What's going on, Tom? Glad to be back, buddy. Argo Outdoor here from East Tennessee. What's going on, man? Big O, hello, Matt, and Wired Fam from Clarks Hill Lake, Georgia. What's going on, Big O? Nathan Wood from Wabash. What's going on? Paul Gwynn from Chat Town. What's going on? Todd Pell from Beaver Creek, Ohio. What's up? Johnny Coots. Hello, hello. Bid Kid. Hello. Ashley Coffee. What's up? Good evening, everyone from Norris Lake. What's going on, man? Heidi. Hi, Matt. Glad you're feeling better. How's Branson? How's Laura and the boys? Branson, well, it's probably not surprising to everybody, as sick as he's been for his, 1 year of life. Um, he is on the mend, but he's still probably he's been kind of the slowest to recover. But he's on the mend. He had a great day today. He's eating again. Finally, he went through a spell there for a few days where he did not eat. We were getting a little worried about him. He'd still nurse, but he wouldn't eat. So we were getting a little worried. Thought about maybe taking him back to the doctor, maybe the hospital. But he picked back up today, so he's doing good. Um, I appreciate you asking, Heidi. As always, we appreciate you very much for asking. But yeah, he's doing all right. He's doing better. Uh, oh, I see a super chat. Super chat. Super chat. Super chat. Super chat. Albert, what's up with the super chat? Thank you, Albert. I appreciate it, buddy. Thank you very much for the super chat. As always, guys, super chats help this channel tremendously. If you guys only knew, sometimes those super chats. Um, your donations to this channel a lot of times are more than you know this channel makes on YouTube. I'll be real honest with you guys. This channel doesn't make a whole lot on YouTube, but I'm not here for that. I'm not here to make money. I'm here to help you guys, to elevate you guys, and to keep you guys progressing in your crappie abilities and your crappie fishing. And that's what it's all about. But the super chats, I'm telling you right now, they help keep me on the water. They help, keep fuel in the boat, keep camera equipment, keep mics, keep all that stuff. So you guys have an enjoyable time when you're watching the videos. So I appreciate that, Albert, very much. It's a blessing to me and to this channel. And I appreciate you, buddy, so much. Thank you, thank you, thank you for that super chat. All right, let's see here. Where was my spot at? Where's Heidi? There's Heidi. All right, George. Doing great. Northwest Arkansas. What's going on, George from Arkansas? Jimmy Pratt. Hello, hello. Rick M. Hello, y'all. What's going on? James Williams. Hello, hello from Chick. Mike Morrison from Clarksville, South Carolina. Hello. Kenny Evans. Good evening. What's up, Kenny? Albert, Indianapolis, Indiana. I actually have family in Indy. I do have some family in Indy and aunt and uncle up there. Uh, I've spent a lot of time in Indy over the years with them, so I love it up there. It's absolutely beautiful. I need to get up there and do some crappie fishing. What up, Joel? Joel Nash in the house. What's going on, Joel? Don from Chicago but lives in Texas. What's up? Jonathan from Bee Springs, Kentucky. What's going on? Dakota from Madisonville, Tennessee. What's going on, Dakota? Charlie Dudley from Jackson, Tennessee. What's going on? Jose from Texas. Hello, hello. Let's see. All right, so let's talk a little bit about. Let's see. Let's start with the tournament on Douglas. Oh, let me get readjusted here. Okay. Let's talk a little bit about the East Tennessee Crappie Club tournament on Douglas Lake last week. So, fished East Tennessee Crappie Club, Douglas Lake, out of Dandridge. Man, what a fiasco that was. So, we actually had a tournament the same day as two bass tournaments out of Dandridge, and it was a nightmare, to say the least. It was kind of a nightmare. So, we got up there, the line. If you've been to Dandridge, if you haven't, you can look it up on Google Maps. It's not very, the ramp itself is big, but the entrance into that ramp is not that big. And there was literally boats lined all the way out the entrance all the way to the street, around the corner, down the bridge. I mean, there was boats just lined up to get in there, and you couldn't get around, and it was just a nightmare. That line was actually the launch line. It was not the pull in the parking lot and wait for a spot line. It was the actual line to the boat ramp, which was a nightmare. I don't know why they didn't have people up there directing some boats, but I guess we could have had people directing boats. But nonetheless, it was comical to say the least. But we got in, got everybody launched. Excuse me. And then we got everybody launched, had our meeting, and then we got ready to release, and the fog was just brutal. Um, Again, in an effort with all the bass boats that were there, in an effort to try to, get out before they started blasting off all over the place, we went ahead and left, but it was foggy. So I actually stayed very close to the ramp. I fished right around the corner from the ramp pretty much all day, actually. And the reason being is because, so I went around the corner from the ramp, I put the live scope down, and I started running flats, creek channels, and ledges, just kind of like I tell you guys all the time. I just kind of put that live scope down and went, okay? And just like I tell you guys all the time, those ledges, hit those flats, hit those creek channels, and I started finding structure. I mean, right off the rip, I started finding structure, and I just stayed on it. Okay, stayed on that pattern. I probably caught 75 to 100 fish. I caught a lot of fish. Had 8.5, little over 8.5 pounds, almost 8.75 pounds. Did not win the tournament. I think I finished. We had 23 boats. I finished 8th or 9th. I think it was 8th or 9th in the tournament. But I hadn't been on Douglas in a year. I hadn't been on Douglas since our tournament on Douglas last year, and I felt pretty good about it. So felt pretty good about where I finished and what I did. Again, just fish natural structure all day. Never really wavered from that. Just kept catching fish and just didn't catch the right fish, right? So, you need the 7 biggest ones and didn't get the 7 biggest ones. So, again, just trying to locate just those little pieces of structure that are on the main river or on a ledge or on a flat or on a point, something of that nature. Just those high percentage areas, just like we talked about in, I think it was episode 5. Was it episode 5 where we talked about those high percentage areas? Becoming a Better Crappie Fisherman series again, episode 5, I believe it was. Just those high percentage areas to find fish. That's exactly what I did. I just went, I found those high percentage areas, and I started fishing. Okay. There was some of those structures I would find 8 or 10 fish, 12 fish. Some of those structures I would find 1 fish, but it was a bigger fish. Okay. My biggest fish was about 1.5 pounds. My smallest fish was over 1 pound. I think it was 1 point. I don't know. Let's see if I can find my scale. I'll show you guys. I can find my scale here. Where is my handheld scale? I was playing with it the other day. Now I don't know what I've done with it. There it is. I was going to say, if I can find it. Found it. All right, let's turn that on. Clean the screen off so you guys can see it. I've got my weights on there. Got my weights on my scale. I'll show them to you. So, all right, so I use a Rapala. You've seen these. You guys have probably seen these all over the place. This is a Rapala tourney scale. It's a 15-pound max scale. But what I like about it is it locks your weights in. So here's my weights. So my first fish was 125, 116. There's my big fish, 143, number 3. Number 4 is 130, 123 on number 5, 108, and 103. So 103 was my smallest fish, and I showed 8.50 on my scale there for total weight. but I ended up with, on the scale at the weigh-in, I had 863, 868, 869, something like that. I don't remember. So anyway, good day all in all. Caught some decent fish. Just didn't catch the bigger fish, right? Didn't catch the biggest fish. So caught every one of my fish on a white and chartreuse stump bug. Okay. I actually, kind of funny story, and I'll grab some of these. Actually, here's the bait that I caught him on. I'll show you right here. So, quarter ounce head, because I was fishing deep. I mean, I was fishing like 20. I was in that 20 to 30 foot range. Okay. 6.5 foot ACC crappie stick, and quarter ounce head. That is a special head that I actually have poured by light wire hooks. Okay. As a number two heavy shank hook. Okay. Number two heavy shank, or standard shank, but standard heavy shank. And a silver, you can't, it won't focus real well, but it's actually a silver glitter head. Okay. The whole head is glitter, and it's got a red eye on it, red and white eye. Love, love, love that jig head. Okay. And then the white and chartreuse stump bug. So, kind of a funny story. When I got up there, I looked at the water clarities, just like I showed in the last video, how I decide, what color bait I'm going to use. So I'm idling out from the ramp, foggy as all get out, can't see your hand in front of your face. I kind of lean over the side of the boat and look at my watercolor. Okay. As I'm looking at my watercolor, I'm trying to decide, kind of what color I want to start with, because I didn't pre-fish. I hadn't been on the lake. Like I said, I hadn't been there in a year. So, kind of looking around, looking at the watercolor, trying to figure out what color I'm going to use. And I looked down in the floor of my boat, literally in the floorboard down here. And there's a white and chartreuse stump bug that's laying in the floor. And I thought, well, I guess we'll start right there. That's about the right color for this water. And it's laying in the floor. I didn't even have to get one out of the bag. So let's just start with that. So I literally threw one on, and it wasn't this one. It was a different one. But I literally started with one that I found in the floor. And I found me a little pile, and it had a fish on it. Actually, I'm sorry. The first fish I caught was an open water fish. I put the live scope down, and I saw some fish out in open water. And I pitched out there to that fish, and it got about 3 foot from that fish, and that fish turned and ran and hit and didn't stop. I mean, it turned, ran, hit, and it was in the boat. And at that point, I was like, I think I got the right color. And I literally stayed with it all day. If I found fish and put that jig in front of a fish, they hit it every time. There was no fish that followed my jig and turned around and went back on that white and chartreuse. Now, I did switch to a black and chartreuse on one pile, and I did get some of those followers that would watch and watch and watch and not strike, not react. But every fish I put a white and chartreuse in front of, it hit. Okay. So there again, contrasting that water was key. I mean, as I was driving down the lake to my first spot, idling down the lake to my first spot, I looked down at the water and I thought, that's probably the right color, and seen it at the bottom of the boat, picked it up and stuck with it the whole time. So, it's that easy, I guess. Don't overcomplicate color selection. Okay. Let me say it again. Don't overcomplicate your color selection. Get something that contrasts the water, but is not scary bright. Okay. You don't want something that's going to you don't like that white and chartreuse right there. When it went 2 feet down, maybe 3 feet down, I started to lose the bait. Does that make sense? I started to, kind of squint and go, where's it at? There it is. Okay. Yeah. And then I drop it another 6 inches and, is that okay? There it is. You don't want something, you're trying to fool a fish. You're trying to make a fish believe that is a real bait fish. That is something they want to eat. Okay. If they can see it coming from 50 feet away because it's so freaking bright that it blinds them at 3 feet, they're not going to eat it. It's not natural. They want something that they're going to see. Okay. but they're not going to be able to actually depict exactly what that is because you're trying to fool them. You're trying to fool them with a fake bait. Okay. So again, you want something that's going to contrast that water very well. Okay. So keep that in mind. And don't overthink it. And you can always change colors. Let's see. Joe Nichols, what's going on? Big Kid Matt, on that Live Scope 34, I put the Garmin 0 degree mount on there. What do you think about Garmin's mount? Which 0 degree mount? First of all, Big Kid, the 0 degree mount's the way to go, regardless of whether you go, with the metal mount on the bottom of the pole, or you go with the plastic mount that mounts to the side of the pole. Either way, the 0 degree mount's the way to go. Or you have to make those little micro adjustments when you get. I mean, if you're fishing in 5 feet of water all the time, like the big three, and you're always shallow, it's not going to matter whether you have a 0 degree mount or not. But when you're fishing somewhere like East Tennessee and you're fishing in 20 to 30 foot of water, most of the fish I caught at Douglas came out 30 feet. Okay, the fish were in 30 feet. All right, they were 30 feet deep. There was a lot of fish. There was the first fish I caught, as a matter of fact. I was in 50 feet of water. It's 30 feet down. The hook actually popped out of its mouth, and the fish just laid there on the side of the lake, just looking at me like stunned because it came out 30 feet of water, and it's just like, it's literally floating on top of the water. No hook in its mouth anymore. The hook had already popped out when it came to the top of the lake, and I grabbed my dip net and dip netted it and got it in the boat. I don't think it was one I weighed, but when it got to the top of the lake, it just laid there. Like I said, the hook popped out of its mouth and everything, and it's just laying there. I mean, it could have swam off, but it didn't. Just laid there on, belly up. I'm like, okay. So I grabbed the net and netted it. But when you're fishing that deep with 7 degree or 8 degree mount, you have to move that pole as that jig falls because it falls out of the cone. Okay. So you have to continuously bump that pole a little bit as that jig falls that deep. Whereas a 0 degree mount, you don't have to do that. You don't have to bump that pole to keep that jig in the cone. Okay. Brian, he said, Matt, thank God you're streaming tonight. Been a rough week. I needed this. Well, I'm glad, Brian. Welcome. And I'm glad I'm back too. I wish I had my box of bonehead gear here because I got a box of bonehead gear and I got some new stuff, which is really, really cool. And I really wanted to show it to you guys, and it is on my desk at the office. So I will probably do a live on my Wired for Crappie Facebook page to go through some of that stuff probably tomorrow. I'll try to bring it home with me tomorrow and do a live to go over some of the bonehead stuff that I got because I'm super, super, super excited about some of the bonehead stuff. And you guys know I'm a stump bug fan, but there may be one that rivals it. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. But some really cool stuff. Some really cool stuff coming up. So anyway, watch my Facebook live. Watch for a Facebook live on Wired for Crappie, the Facebook page. If you're not on the Facebook Wired for Crappie, go to Facebook, like, follow. That way, when I go live on Facebook, you guys will see that too. Okay. Ronnie Harris from Carrollton. What's going on, Ronnie? Jackie Jordan. Hello, hello. Dun, dun, dun. Fred, hi from Indiana. What's going on, Fred? Fishing Fred, what's going on? Fishing Fred holding up some slabs there. What's going on, man? Welcome, welcome. Ronald Dills, what's up, man? Hope you're catching a lot of crappie. Have been, for sure. So I've been fishing, did a little fun fishing. Just a little, me and a friend in a boat lately. Just kind of laid back, some fun fishing. Went to some new spots, some new lakes. Can't tell you guys where those are at. They're top secret. Went to some bodies of water that you guys probably don't even know the name to. Okay. As a matter of fact, there was one that I didn't even know the name to. So it was a lot of fun to go to those and just kind of relax and fun fish again. But for a minute, you know what I'm saying? So but have been catching quite a few fish for sure. CB outdoor structure, as in the drops, etc., or do you mean cover like a tree pile or on a tree pile on a ledge flat point? So CB, a little of both. I caught some fish on drops. I caught some fish on points. I caught some fish, with no structure on them, and then I also caught fish on little pieces of structure, just a little stick sticking up, or a stump, just a stump off the bottom that just came up, just a little stump. And I'm not talking big structure. I'm talking just little stuff, just minute little pieces of structure that I caught fish off of. So, those little pieces of structure get ignored a lot. Now, they're not going to hold fish like that, 50-foot tall tree that somebody drug out there and dropped. They're not going to hold fish like that. But the bigger fish will hold on that little small piece of structure. Okay. Jose, I'm fishing Lake Texoma this weekend. Should I look in the creeks or main lake areas? Lake temp is 65 and stained in the creeks. If your lake temps are already up to 65, I'd be looking in the creeks, in the creek channels, in the creeks. Jesse, hey Matt, all the way from Harlan County, Kentucky. First time chatting with you all. Been a sub for a long time. Love your style, fishing and teaching. Thank you, buddy. Thank you for joining us on the live. If you have any questions, anything I can answer, anything you've been thinking about while you've been watching the videos, any questions you have for me, feel free to ask them. I'd love to answer. Okay. And welcome, welcome, welcome. Jeff Burns, what's going on from Wallen, Tennessee? What's going on, Jeff? So again, um, I did exactly what I tell you guys to do. Is hit those high, um, those high percentage areas. I'm gonna get my words straight in a minute, but those high percentage areas to locate those fish, and that's what I did. So, and I stayed because I got on fish quick, and I was catching good fish quick, and I'm catching fish over a pound up to a pound and a half. I'm like, yeah, okay, I'll stumble across a bigger one here in a little bit, and I'll get a kicker fish, and I'll be setting right as rain. Well, I never got the kicker fish, but I continued to catch those 1 to 1.5 pounders, and I continued to cull, continued to move up, and continued to better my bag. And so I stayed right there. I didn't feel a need to move. I actually did move once. I moved down lake a little bit and kind of looked in an area and didn't really find a whole lot. So I was just like, yeah, let's go back. You know, I was on good fish, and the watercolor changed too. As I moved down the lake, the water got dingier. Um, and when the water got dingier, I started going, no, I don't want to be down here in dingy water. Douglas, those fish are used to clearer water. They're used to um, very, very clear water on Douglas. So when it muddies up, a lot of times those fish will go looking for that little bit of cleaner water. And that's what I'd found already up there. So I went right back to it. I was like, well, if that's where they want to be, that's where I'll be, right? So don't leave fish to find fish. You guys ever heard that before? Anybody ever tell you don't leave fish to find fish? I've heard that a million times. I've been ingrained with that. Don't leave fish to find fish. Well, that's true unless you're in a tournament and you're catching a bunch of little fish, and then you really kind of have to leave little fish to go find big fish. But I was catching good fish, so I stayed right there. Anyway, hindsight being what it is, should I have probably looked in a few more areas? Yeah, maybe. But again, I was there to have fun, and I was there to put 7 fish in the boat, go away 7 fish because I didn't pre-fish because I'd been sick. My family had been sick. There was no way I was going to the lake and pre-fishing. So, when you don't have time, let me say this. When you don't have time to fish, you don't have time to pre-fish, and you don't have time, let's just say you're a once a month fisherman and you want to go have fun. Those high percentage areas, guys, those creek channels, those drops, those river channel ledges, those points, I can continue to say it and say it and say it. Those 15 to 20 foot flats, hit those high percentage areas and go catch you some fish and have fun and go home. You know what I mean? That's what I did. I just went, hit my high percentage areas, had fun, and went home. And I was happy with it. Congratulations to the winners. If you're on tonight, if any of you guys are watching, congratulations. Heck of bags. I mean, just, I think 10 a little over 10 pounds won it. And there was 3 or 4 guys that had 9-pound bags. That were like literally within 100th of a pound of one another. I think it was 3 guys that had 9-pound bags. Anyway, great bags, no doubt. Congratulations. Heck of a day of fishing on Douglas for sure. Douglas Lake is fishing good, guys. If you if you want to get out on Douglas Lake, it is fishing fairly well right now. And I think it's going to get better as the winter goes on, as it gets colder, because that lake typically gets better as the winter goes on. So, or winter moves on. So, um, let's see what else. Let me ask this question. So we got a few episodes left. If you've been watching the How to Become a Better Crappie Angler series, thank you first of all for watching. And second of all, what do you guys want to see as we round out the last few episodes? I mean, what do you guys want to see? Give me some stuff that you guys want to see. I will try to accommodate some of those. I can tell you this: we're getting ready to do live bait. Okay. I've been asked by several guys through the series, do live bait, do live bait. Well, we're getting ready to do live bait. I'm not much of a live bait fisherman anymore. I do use live bait from time to time, especially when I take the kiddos. When I take the kiddos, it's nice to have live bait because, you can say, hey, you see that buoy out there? Yeah, Daddy, I see it. Throw your minnow over beside that buoy and wait for the float to go underneath the lake. When you can't see the float anymore, jerk. So it's kind of nice, when you have the kids out, especially young kids, to use live bait. So anyway, we're about to do a live bait, and that'll be a lot of fun. I mean, I always enjoy watching that float go down. Who doesn't enjoy watching a float bury? I enjoy watching a float go down. So again, what do you guys want to see? What would you guys benefit from the most? I guess is my question. And if you guys are commenting, I can't see it. My comments have for some reason stopped. Let's see here. Boink. Hello. Where's my banner at? Why is my banner not up there? Hey, check out them discount codes. Don't forget the discount codes. 10% off Crappie Cove with the discount code WIRED. 10% off fishingspecialties.com with the code WIRED. The Stowaway Mounts code right there. Them Stowaway Mounts for your live scopes up front. 10% off with code WIRED. And then always, guys, 15% off Bonehead Tackle with the code Crappie2022. Don't miss out on those discount codes because that saves you guys money. That's what they're there for, to save you guys some moolah. Okay? So, Larry Merrick, glad you're back. Me too, Larry. Creek channels and points are the key in the winter. What depth do you target? Well, very good question. Okay? Larry, I'll be honest with you. The fish are going to dictate the depth. They're going to set where they want to set. They may be setting 5 feet deep. They may be setting 35 feet deep. But the fish are going to dictate. Look, I've said this before. I'll say it again. In the winter and in cold water, okay? Cold water holds oxygen better. There's a higher oxygen content in cold water than warm water, okay? So when the water cools off, those fish have the ability to set in that much more of a range of water. Okay. So in the summer, when it's 85-degree water surface temps, those fish can't set 3 foot deep because there's no oxygen in that hot water. There's not any, they can't sustain in shallow, hot water. Okay. And then in the summer, when the thermocline sets up and they can't set extremely deep because below that thermocline is dead water, dead unoxygenated water. It really, that's why summer is one of my favorite times to fish, because there's a range of water that those fish can sit in. And if you can figure out, hey, those fish are going to be somewhere between 8 and 18 feet, it really narrows it down. It really does, right? It narrows it down. And it's so much easier to go locate those fish because you know they're going to be between here and here. So if you can find structure in areas between here and here, you're going to find fish. So when winter comes and that water cools off and the oxygen levels increase over the entire lake turns over, that thermocline goes away. There's oxygen from the surface to the daggum forest floor, okay? And those fish can move around everywhere in that water column. There is not going to be a specific depth range that those fish are always going to sit in. Okay. So take the Douglas tournament, for instance. I'm going to use that as an example. I fished 30 foot deep. I caught fish out of 30 feet. Okay. I caught fish out of 40 feet. I caught fish out of 20 feet. I caught fish out of 12 feet. I caught fish out of 9 feet. The winners fished 6 to 15 feet all day. I caught fish everywhere in every depth. So to answer your question, Larry, is what depth do you target? I let the fish dictate what depth I'm going to target. I know that sucks. I know you're looking for me to tell you go fish 22 feet of water, but I can't in the winter. And that's why. Because the oxygen content across the entire lake is such where those fish could literally be anywhere. You just have to let the fish dictate where they want to be. Now, once you find a pattern, see, that's what I did at Douglas. I found a pattern and I stuck to it. And I caught fish all day long. I found structure in 30 feet of water, and I knew those fish would be a foot to 2 foot off the bottom, and I waxed them. And I stuck with it all day. So once you develop a pattern, stick with your pattern. But you got to find that pattern. Okay. I know that sucks. I'm sorry. I know you wanted a depth, but I can't give it to you in the winter. JLD Fishing, new to the channel. What's up? Hello, hello. Welcome, welcome. Hi, Matt from West Monroe, Louisiana. Been catching some slabs on Lake Darbone in Farmerville, Louisiana. Darbone. I've heard it's a great lake. Didn't they just change like the regulations on Darbone? I think I saw something about that where you guys had like a regulation change. I guess you can't keep but so many fish over a certain weight or length or something. I don't know. I thought there was some kind of limit change or something down there that was not really causing problems, but there was a little bit of controversy, I guess it was. Tom from Pennsylvania, your opinion, fizzing versus clips, weight on fish versus clip weight on fish out of deep water to live well. Always clip. I don't fizz. Okay. Never have. And I'll tell you a quick story. So the Loudon tournament this year, I caught a fish on a stump in 45 feet of water on the river channel. Okay. Biggest fish that I caught all day. Actually, it was a 1/100th from being the biggest fish of the tournament that day. I got beat by a 1/100th of a pound. But it was a big fish. And when I pulled that fish off out of 45 feet, its air bladder was literally sticking out of its mouth. Okay. I just knew that fish was not going to make it. And I'm like, what should I do? Should I take my knife out, poke that air bladder, hope it goes back in, or what? And I'm thinking, no, I don't want to do that. So I grabbed 2 fin clips. I clipped it in the back and in the front, pectoral fins and the tail fin, and laid that joker in the live well. And I told myself 30 minutes. So I told my phone, hey, SIRI, if I say her name, she's going to come up right now. Set me a timer for 30 minutes. My timer went off. I went back there. That air bladder had actually deflated, but was still in that fish's mouth. So when it was deflated, I literally took my finger and I stuck that air bladder back down its throat with my finger, pushed it back down in its throat with my finger, and took one of the fin clips off, put it back in the live well. Set timer for 30 more minutes. Went in there, checked that fish, like nothing ever happened. Just setting up just as pretty as could be. Lived the rest of the day, and I caught that fish at noon. Waited in at 3:30 or 4 o'clock. That fish was just as lively as could be. I am a clip guy because let me tell you something. You clip a fish, If it dies, it's because it was going to die either way. It was already dead when you clipped it, if it dies. But if you fizz one wrong, you kill it. There's no chance of it living if you fizz one wrong. There's no chance. And there's a lot of controversy of what happens to those fish when you put them back in the lake, whether they live, whether they die. I don't know. There's been people that say, once you puncture that air bladder, it can't refill its air bladder. It's got a hole in it. It's like a tire. You pop a hole in a tire. I go out there to stick a knife in the side of my truck tire, and in the morning I go out there to fill it back up. It ain't going to fill back up. It's got a hole in it. So there's people that say those fish can't regulate anymore, and they just sink to the bottom of the lake and die. So, again, I don't fizz. I clip. Now, there'll probably be some guys on here that are going to yell at me here in a minute. They're going to be like, you don't know what you're talking about, fizzing this, fizzing that. I get it. But if I can naturally let that fish regulate himself by clipping him, keeping him upright, what kills a fish in your live well is not the fact that his air bladder is messed up. It's the fact that he rolls over because of his air bladder and then he can't breathe. Okay? So that's what kills your fish. And if I can let him naturally belch air, that's my best choice. That's my best option, in my opinion. Barry, how much does wind and current affect the fall rate of your jig? What's the heaviest jig you will fish in windy conditions? If I'm fishing brush, I don't want to use more. I don't want to use over an 8 if I'm fishing brush, because if I'm casting the brush, I don't really want to use more than an 8 because I don't. I don't like a heavy jig and brush because you just get hung more. The wind and current is not going to it's not going to really affect your fall rate as much as it is the direction of fall. So let's say you make a cast, there's no current, that jig falls. Let's say it's a 16th ounce jig. That jig falls a foot a second, right? Straight down because there's no current. So a foot a second straight down. Now, throw some current in there, 25,000 CFM or whatever you want to say, current coming down the lake, and it's flying down through there. You're still going to fall a foot a second, but you're going to fall. Let's see, let me do this. You're going to fall this way a foot a second. So you're not going to fall straight down. You're going to fall at an angle because the current's pushing your jig. So it's not going to affect your fall rate as much as it does the direction of fall. You're still going to fall, or you're still going to get the same amount of movement in your jig, fall in your jig, but you're going to get it in a different angle. Okay. That's what most people struggle with, is when there's a lot of current and they're fishing a brush pile, they're casting on top of the brush pile, but by the time that jig falls 10 feet, you're not over the brush pile anymore. Okay. So you need to rate, if there's 25,000 CFM coming down through there and I've got a 16 ounce jig, I probably need to cast 20 feet past that brush pile to get 20 feet down so that when my jig gets down there to that brush pile, I'm on the fish and I'm going to catch something. So you got to judge the current and you got to make that cast past your brush pile or structure or whatever it is you're fishing. Mm-hmm. Tackle and boat setup on tournament days. Okay, we can do that. That'd be a good one. Fred Phelps, did I miss a report on Dale Hollow tournament? No, you didn't. I did not fish the Dale Hollow tournament for reasons that I won't get into tonight. But I don't like cheating, lying, and I didn't. I chose not to. Fish it. Reginald, 7 fish over 12 inches. Yeah, that's what they changed the regulations to on Darbone. I knew they changed it to something. I just can't remember what. Joe, how often do you use double rigs when fishing, and how far do you separate them from each other? Very good question. So I'm not a double jig rig guy. Because I don't want two jigs to get hung in a brush pile. If I'm fishing open water, then I will use two jigs. Okay. And when I do use two jigs, or when I'm trolling, and if I'm trolling, I use a double jig rig. I typically put them anywhere from, I don't know, I try to get about that 16, 18 inches apart when I fish with them. If I do fish brush with a double jig rig, I generally put them about 12 inches apart. But look, if I'm fishing brush, one jig is enough to get hung. I don't want another one down there to get hung too. So, um, but if I'm trolling or I'm casting open water fish or something like that, I will sometimes use a double jig rig, and 16 inches is about what I try to achieve as far as how far apart. Oh, here's a good question. I'm gonna have to let you down easy on this one, but just joining, I'm not sure it's been asked, but where do you buy those fill floats? I can't find them anywhere for sale. Well, they got discontinued. I am so sorry. I love those floats. Absolutely love those floats. That Phil Stealth float is my favorite. I've got two left over there on my desk, and I'm not even going to use them. I love them so much, which is actually kind of contradictory to the fact that I love fishing with them, because I'm not going to use them. I don't want to lose them, but I've got maybe two left in my boat, two over there on the desk, and I'm like scared to death to take them out and use them. So I actually called Phil. So I actually contacted Phil and asked them how many I had to buy for them to run them again, because I'm sure they still have the mold. And I'm like, you still got the mold? I mean, how many do I need to buy for you to run them? 100,000? What do you want me to buy? I'll buy them. And they're like, well, I don't know. Let us check on it. I never heard back. They're not going to do it otherwise anyway. So, anyway, I tried, and I may even actually contact them again and see if I can get them run. But I told them they made a mistake by discontinuing that float. It was a great float, but I'm sorry. You're going to ask me the next question is, what is a good alternative? The Rod and Bob's. Rod and Bob's makes a good alternative. That's probably what I'll go to when I run out, is the Rod and Bob's. Let's see. Actually, I may have. I don't know if I have one of those Rod and Bobs in here or not. Let me look. Oh, let's see. Let's see. Let's see. Let's see. I may have one in here. If I do, I'll show it to you. Oh yeah, I got one right here. All right. So here's the Rod and Bobs. Okay, the Rod and Bobs, and it does have the little spring on it. Okay, but if you can tell, see, there's a little right there. There's a little slit right in the bottom underneath the spring. So that's actually where, let me move my head out of the way here. That's actually where you'll run your line, is through that little slit right there under the spring, or above the spring, I guess it is in this instance. And that'll act as a slip float. Okay. So that's probably what I'll go to when I run out of fills, is that little Rod and Bob's. And it's not very big. Let's see if I can hold it up here. I'm trying to hold a phone and a float at the same time. It's not very big, right? That's probably what I'll go to. And it pairs with a number 5 split shot. That is a number 5 split shot very well. Size 5. Pairs with it really well. Let's see here. Let's see. Love your videos. Do you prefer casting and pendulum swinging a jig over brush, vertical jigging brush, or slip flow over brush from a distance? Well, I do all. I do all three, really. Um, I don't prefer any of those. Okay. I let the fish dictate to me the way they want it. So if I the first thing that I'll do is cast and let it pendulum over or swim it through a jig. I like to let my jig fall on an open reel. So I leave my reel open, let that jig fall straight down, and then start swimming that jig through a brush pile. So I swim a jig through a brush pile. Um, if they don't want it that way, I will move closer and vertical jig. And then if I can't catch them that way, if I have to go with a bobber or slip float in a minnow over brush piles, if I have minnows, I'll do that. But if I don't have minnows, obviously I can't do it. So, but I'll let the fish dictate what they want, and then I'll go from there. Okay. Curtis Hobbs, hey Matt, been catching some good fish at Blackshear. Don't tell me that. Don't tell me that, Curtis, because I'm gonna drive back down to Blackshear. I fished that lake twice, and I did not have the current boat that I have now, and really didn't have a means to get around a whole lot. But I absolutely love Blackshear. Caught some giants on Blackshear. Blackshear's got some big crappie in it for sure. Uh, We've been trolling in open water, 12 to 16 feet deep. Good to be on the water. Yes, sir. I'm sure it is. I was just talking about one of your jig heads earlier, Curtis. So, guys, if you don't know, right, well, you can't see it right now, but right over, let's see, where is it? There. That logo right there is Mr. Curtis Hobbs. That's his logo right there, Lightwire Hooks. Let me explain something about light wire hooks. Everybody asks me, is light wire hook, do I have to buy light wire hooks from Mr. Curtis, or can he do just a regular hook? I said, no. I said, Mr. Curtis will do light wire hooks all day long because they get pulled out of the brush real easy and they don't get hung up and broke off. But if you're looking for a stouter hook, guys, Mr. Curtis has all kinds of different hooks. He can do, just like I showed you, a standard round bend hook, just like you get anywhere else, a hard round bend hook. He can do it. So Mr. Curtis is great. I've been getting hooks from Mr. Curtis now. Curtis, how long have I been buying hooks from you? For 15 years, I guess. I guess I've been buying hooks from Mr. Curtis for about 15 years. It's been a long time. And as a matter of fact, I'm getting ready to throw away a ton of some other hooks from some other people that I do not like, that I lose fish on, and getting ready to order a bunch from Mr. Curtis because the hooks that I currently have in one of my boxes are garbage and I don't like them. And I don't ever talk bad about anybody's product, and I ain't gonna tell you whose they are, but I do not like them. So anyway, Mr. Curtis, I'm gonna be calling you for some 16th ounce jig heads because I need about 400. Because the ones I have right now, I'm very displeased with. I've had them for a long time. They've been sitting in there, and I've got to the point where I'm having to start use those hooks because I've literally, you guys can imagine on guide trips, I'm all the time breaking off hooks. I'm using hooks like they're going out of style. And I've finally got to where I've started using that box of hooks, and they're all junk. And I'm getting ready to throw the whole box away and restock. So anyway, if you guys want to find out how to get with Mr. Curtis, Lightwire Hooks on Facebook, or he has a website, lightwirehooks.com, or you can just call him, okay? Call him, say, hey, Curtis, Matt at Wired, Wired for Crappie, Matt, he told me about you, and can you build me a hook? Can you build this? Can you build that? Mr. Curtis can hook you guys up, okay? All right, guys, we've been on almost an hour. I'm to the bottom of the comment chain here. So we're going to call it a night, I do believe. I'm going to finish cleaning the shop because the shop has been a mess. Have not got the shop cleaned. I've got, stuff laying on every table, every flat surface. Flat surfaces, guys, just collect crap. I mean, that's, for a lack of a better word, flat surfaces collect crap. So I'm doing an overhaul in the shop, trying to get it cleaned up. Again, watch the Wired for Crappie Facebook page. If you're not on the Wired for Crappie Facebook page, get on it because I'm going to do a live showing some really cool stuff that I got from Bonehead. Got a box of stuff to go through with them. So that's going to be on the Facebook page probably tomorrow. So make sure you get on there and you follow. That way you get the notification there too. Okay. And then, as always, guys, God bless. I appreciate y'all for everything that y'all do. It's a blessing to be able to do this for you guys. It's a blessing to be able to do this, period. Thank you to my wife. Thank you to my kids who, do lose a lot of time with me to do this for you guys, but they understand that it's a passion for me. I'm passionate about helping people. I'm passionate about teaching. I'm passionate about, those stories that I get from you guys where everybody says, hey, you know, you told me to do this. I went out and did it. I caught more fish today than I've ever caught in a trip, and I had a blast. I just want to thank you for teaching me something. And it's like, hey, that's it, man. That's what it's here for. That's why I'm here for. And those stories and that feedback from you guys keeps me going. So thank you very much for everything y'all do. I appreciate y'all as always. Again, God bless, and we will catch you on the next live. We'll try to be on again next Wednesday night, 9 o'clock, same time, same place. And I'll see you guys later. Thanks, guys.